So what do you get when the Democrats need to cover up their narrative breaking corruption, but there's no more schools left to shoot up? You get aliens. Welcome to the Electric Luchador Podcast. I am El Oscuro, the Electric Luchador, though you may know me by some other names, and I am here with Kanon.
Hello.
All right, now it's been a while since our last episode. Granted, there are reasons. I was poisoned by the CIA in an attempted assassination, so you might still hear the lingering cough from whatever it was they spiked my hot sauce with. And Kanon was off destabilizing a third world country. Very busy. It's, summer. But
I mean, that's par for the course.
But we're back, and we've got some big news. Now, we're not gonna waste your time talking about such trivial matters like a reliable informant coming out with dirt on Biden and his supposed financial indiscretions during the Obama administration. No, we're here to talk about aliens. Now, apparently, a whistleblower came out claiming that there are illegal government projects that are in possession of intact or nearly intact aircrafts of, quote, non-human origin, unquote. Now the informant, the whistleblower, seems like a pretty legit fellow. Combat officer in Afghanistan. They were a representative of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force for the National Recon Office, and they worked for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. And, yeah, homeboy came out saying, oh, yeah, the U.S. government has been hiding this from Congress. And the reason they finally came out was that they've apparently been suffering some kind of retaliation from their government employment as a result of, I guess, knowing too much. It's all very, very, very shady, and not in the fun X-Files kind of way. And
Luch,
I mean,
what's your take on all that?
Okay. I'm an amateur. Maybe that's saying too much, but I'm an enthusiast. In ufology and all that. I love that shit. I would love it, if we made contact. Granted, I'd be scared shitless, but I'm not religious, so I don't believe in any kind of divine creation. I think we happened here on accident, the most beautiful accident that could have happened, and it's statistically impossible to think that this accident only ever happened here.
Well, okay, not to get so much in aliens, because I'll take a 30-second detour here and just give you my thoughts, but I'm more just asking on, suddenly the government's like, check this out, guys. Aliens. Don't look at anything else right now, just aliens.
No, and that's the thing. That's the thing, right. Because, excuse me.
You're good.
Quite literally, the day before this happened, an informant for the FBI basically presented documents to the House Oversight Committee proving that Biden was involved in a $5 million bribery scam with a, quote, foreign national, unquote, during the Obama administration.
Does this foreign national happen to be in Ukraine?
It might have been. From what I could see, there weren't that many details. But here's the thing. The source.
Good.
Okay. The source is Fox News via MSN. So we're not exactly talking like a reliable source here.
Right. It's going to be major. It's going to be the, major media. But, yeah, I'm looking at this too.
Well, here's the reliable part, I think. The Oversight Committee tried to subpoena the FBI for all of their forms that they have containing the word Biden.
Mm-hmm.
It's specifically an FD 1023 form, which is used for, I have it written down here, collecting and catalog info for national security work and to record unverified reporting from confidential sources. These are highly, highly sensitive documents. And for the House Oversight Committee to straight up subpoena the fucking FBI and say we want everything that says Biden on it. And the FBI said no.
Yeah, this is interesting.
The FBI said no. And so now the chair of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, is moving to hold the director of the FBI in contempt of Congress.
Which is bananas.
But aliens, like
aliens,
that's the story.
Exactly.
Here.
I mean, I think that you have the right read. And I wouldn't be surprised if this has to do with Ukraine. Because this is what, if we remember the quid pro quo stuff with Trump, the impeachment, the stuff with Zelensky, and talking about the Biden shady dealings in Ukraine, it wouldn't surprise me why, looking at in the aggregate, it's kind of almost comedic. That here we are fighting a war on behalf of Ukraine and sending Ukrainians to die straight up. But here's the thing, though. Russia and their intelligentsia, as well as the United States and our intelligentsia, they all know the score. And they know this. We've talked about this war quite a bit, and we also have the flood again today, which apparently, the Russians flooded territories that they control, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That makes sense, just like the Russians blew up their own pipeline. Right, I remember that. Just like the Russians blew up their own bridge. Correct. Okay, cool. And here we are fighting a war that we're pretending Ukraine's fighting. So anyway, neither here nor there, but aliens.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. And
just to tell you, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, like, I've mentioned this before on previous episodes, but I mean, I distinctly remember the 2016 election. Every time something new came out about Hillary's emails or what have you, there was another shooting somewhere. It's these things don't happen by chance. It's the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 is a lot more relevant than we realize, I think.
Yeah, we were just having that conversation. The first time I heard the phrase meme was literally in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I don't think I understood I thought the game kind of sucked when I first played it because I was like, this seems like the villain from Tomorrow Never Dies. Like, I'll control the media. And it was so silly back then, even though it was such a large establishment, which is interesting.
But now that villain would make perfect sense in a Bond movie. Like,
no, 100% it makes sense. I was the one wrong about that, but especially Kojima saying way ahead of time with, not only do you control ideas and media and you control people, but in 5, controlling language, in 4, proxy wars. That's what Ukraine is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he almost made the joke. He was like, "Yeah, what's those 4's kind of come true, and it sucks."
Yeah, no,
It's
and
literally like PMCs versus PMCs, all fighting proxy wars of on behalf of dubious agents. But um,
I mean,
yeah,
with
go
the
ahead.
rate that we're going, any minute now we can expect to see heavily traumatized and psychopathic women flying around in mech suits and shit.
Yeah, but listen to iPods and being gorgeous.
No, you got to play the music and then they start modeling for you because
Exactly.
Kojima. But yeah, no, and like
Kojima.
even
Anyway.
then, the idea of fake news was touched upon in Metal Gear Solid 2, where they say like, no, we're not creating the facts, we're creating the context around them.
But here's the thing. Luch, let me ask you this. I guess this is the weird thing about it. Do you think we've ever actually had the information?
Not in our lifetime.
I've read somewhere, I'm not sure if it's true, but professional sports in the United States was mostly started. This is probably fake, but I forgot where I read this. But in order to give the common man something else to read in the newspaper that wasn't politics, they didn't want the common man involved in their matters. That was the job of the lobbies. So let's give them fake teams to fight about. I don't know if that's true, but it's interesting.
I mean, it
Um,
sounds plausible.
and and on the aliens thing, let me just say it's right there. I agree. I think that the odds that aliens are out there, that there is a planet within the range to support life. It exists, of the billions of stars out there, that one of them somewhere has a planet that can support life. The odds are almost a certainty that that exists. The odds that we would entire solar systems would entire stars would be born and vanish in the time it would take to travel one to the other. And so why I think it's a certainty they're out there, it's also certainty that the amount of time it would take to travel between two would be enough for entire solar systems to, go. But I guess the question is going to be about interdimensional travel, which we're not going to get into today. But the fact that if we have quote unquote evidence, it's just, to me, the timing is sketchy. Like, so like, you guys check this out, aliens.
Sketchy at best.
Aliens, right? And so, hard to say. I think jury's still out on this one. But what I can certainly say is that there was some politicking happening with the Bidens, and I'm curious to see how that shakes out.
Portland. There's a
Oh,
serial
yes.
killer on the loose.
There you go.
Yeah. Some pretty rough things happening in Portland. Now, the police are claiming that these killings aren't connected. But let me just read to you what these statistics are, okay?
Okay.
6 women in the last 3 months. Similar hair color, similar eye color. All found in wooded areas in within 100-mile radius of each other.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Very. Very. It's, granted, you can find pictures of the women, and they don't exactly look similar, so that can kind of uh work against the notion of, oh yeah, there's a serial killer. But sometimes, just the hair color, the eye color, uh similar skin colors, that can be enough. And so, it's dangerous. It's really dangerous out there. um the police, like I said, they're denying that there's a connection, so they're being very, very hush hush about it. So if we have any listeners in Portland, it's, watch yourself, be careful, be smart about it. There's a lot of sort of pushback against telling people, especially women, to defend themselves. A lot of people take that to somehow be sexist or what have you. So let me tell you this. I'm around, let's say, 350 pounds. I think that's how powerful I am right now. I'm around 350 pounds. I've been practicing martial arts for most of my life. I'm in my 30s. I do not stop to put gas at night if I am alone.
Right.
I don't go out at night alone. All right, like I said, 350-pound man. I'm more than 6 feet tall. I practice martial arts. I carry a knife on me. It's and I don't put myself in risky situations. And it's not victim blaming to say, oh, don't put yourself in risky situations. It's being smart. And so, anyone, it's take advantage of our society's obsession with serial killers. Watch some documentaries on Netflix to see how they draw people in, because it can be as simple as, a man in the cast saying, oh, can you help me, load this seat up into my car. It's, it could be as easy as, oh, I lost my dog, or I lost my child, or, something like that. So please be careful out there. Please take care of yourselves. Don't go places with people you don't know unless you have someone else with you. If you're going to be going somewhere alone, let someone know where you are. And if you really want to get into it, kickboxing, Muay Thai, probably the best striking art that you can that you can practice.
Yeah.
Judo for balance. A lot of times, street fights, I think around 80% of the time, will end up on the ground. I can't remember where I got that statistic from, so I'm just talking out of my ass right now. But street fights very likely go to the ground. Judo helps you with balance so that doesn't happen.
And one thing I want to stress, a few things here. You're absolutely correct. And the best martial arts, I think, that you get out there, the one that's good for all of them, is cardio. Because sometimes your best fighting stance is running away.
Yes.
Not lying.
Always.
Avoid situations. Go to the ground if you need to, or if someone's not giving you a choice. If you're in a corner, you're just going to be fight or flight, and sometimes you don't have a choice, and that's why it's good to have those tools in your tool belt.
No,
so
definitely.
Luke's accident, absolutely correct there. One thing that in CCW courses, when those are taught, and for CCW, let me just clarify, it's a concealed carry permit, for typically for firearms. One thing that is taught, I think this is the most important lesson to get out of any concealed carry course, is that if there's a place you're going that you think you might have to take a firearm, don't go there.
No, definitely.
That's it. If you think you need your firearm, rethink what you're doing, because your best defense is not putting yourself in those situations in the first place.
No, 100%. Not only that, excuse me. Combat should always be your last resort. You try to run, you try to, I mean, it's not likely to work, but maybe even negotiate. It's, you don't want, no matter what, if you're at the point, or no matter what, you don't want to get to the point where you or the aggressor are within arm's reach of each other. That's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
And if it's unavoidable, you just want to disengage quickly, as just do what you can so that they let you go, or they, have to double over or whatever, and you run.
Well, and here's the thing too, and I know what people say about profiling or whatever else. And I'm not saying to profile. All I'm saying is, because profiling can have a lot of looks to it.
Mm.
If something seems sketchy, remove yourself from the situation.
Oh yeah, trust your gut.
The best thing you possibly can do is make sure you are scanning, you're looking around, because people that want to hurt you or take advantage of you are looking for people who will not see them coming, people who will be unaware, people who are just on their phone, people whoever else. If you're constantly aware of the situation and aware of what can be, and you're thinking a step ahead just in case, being proactive is probably the best thing you possibly can do in order to ensure your safety. So I know that's not a fun talk, but looking at the situation in Portland, it's a good reminder.
No, yeah, definitely. It's a talk that has to happen. It's and here's the thing, it's possible to be proactive, like Kay said, without being paranoid. We're not advocating paranoia, we're not advocating that kind of guardedness. It's there is a way to be conscious of your surroundings, to be conscious of, you go into a building, make note of where the exits are. Take a quick look to see who's in there. If you do have anything that you use for self-defense, be it pepper spray, be it a knife, be it some brass knuckles, I'm not gonna tell. It sounds a little funny, but taxi driver that practice pulling it out so that hopefully you never have to, but if you do, you're not fumbling for it. And a big thing is to prepare yourself mentally. It's not a fun thing to think about, but if you prepare yourself and if you just literally rehearse it mentally, you at least have something to fall back on when you're in the moment, because you don't want to freeze up.
Yeah, no, and this is one of those things where when you hit fight or flight, excuse me, I can't speak. If you have not prepared yourself for situations, then you'll panic and your brain stops working. You go into like lizard brain, and so you're just reacting.
And panicking is what kills people.
Panic. Yeah, there's different zones of awareness. White is unaware, green is just kind of chilling, yellow is constantly scanning, red is meaning it's going down. Honestly, in situations, keep yourself around yellow. Just be looking around, always being aware, always have a plan. For those of you who live in states that they are allowed, and you have a firearm for either home defense or carry defense, in self-defense, practice your draws, practice your dry fires. Any striker fired firearm, you can safely dry fire it without affecting the firing pin, and do it over and over and over and over and over again. Just make sure you're safe and you keep your ammo separate. Always watch for the 4 rules firearm safety, and make sure you're checking the chamber and following those rules. Just like Luch said, just training, be prepared, and just make good decisions.
And with firearms specifically, I do want to point out, you can't just pick up a gun and fire it like how, scared children or, scared cops' wives do in movies or something like that. Guns are heavier than you think. Their triggers are harder to pull than you realize. It's practice is definitely important to effectively use a firearm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot, and we talked about this, about firearm education a lot of time comes from movies, and that is wrong. That would be like getting history from movies as well, right?
Yeah.
It's, firearms especially, it becomes egregious because you see people like a movie like The Matrix. There's no bullet time in real life, right?
Right.
But anyway, like any other skill, it just takes a lot of practice, and it's not necessarily an easy one, but it's one that has quite a bit of utility. So, yeah, good advice.
So stay safe out there. Now, me personally, I wouldn't go so far as to call myself straight edge because I do enjoy drinking on occasion. But Kanon fills his bathtubs with beer. He's all about that life.
That's true.
And so why don't you tell me what's been happening in the world of beer? Just the untouched, pure, just masculine, hairy chest, eating a hunk of meat cooking outside world of beer, Spartans, warriors. They had sex with little boys.
Spoken in not spoken, but we haven't done our podcast here for a little bit, so we got some catching up to do.
No, I mean those third world countries don't destabilize themselves.
Fully exactly. We our hands are full right now. So, but over a month ago now, this is bananas. Is everybody listening to this probably already knows, but Bud Light had a partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney, who's already a character. And Dylan Mulvaney says, in honor or whatever it is about March Madness, and then she goes on to say, like, March Madness? I don't even know what that is. Anyway, that's kind of her shtick, is that women are ditzy and dumb, which is honestly highly offensive, but that's the woman she is. What's the best word? The woman she is, I guess, right now. Let me just clarify this. I support trans people 100%. And I don't think being trans is wrong or bad. My issue comes from some of the things I will talk about here. Because whatever an adult wants to do, as long as it's not hurting anybody else or, coming within their health or their rights or whatever else, do what the fuck you want to do. Like, I high five.
Oh yeah.
And that's the libertarian side of me. However, there are other variables involved in the situation. Dylan Mulvaney can do whatever she wants to do. However, I think that she's highly offensive to women by when she masquerades as a woman, like hiking in high heels. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That's sexist. That's what it is. Like pretending like women are stupid or ditzy.
Portraying women as a caricature instead
well,
of
it's like
really
March
taking
Madness.
their identity
I don't
seriously.
even know what that is. Like, no, guess what? Women watch basketball too. Like, women are not idiots. You're masquerading.
Women play basketball.
Right. It's this kind of pantomime of a woman. But anyway, so Bud Light partnered with Dylan Mulvaney and a few things here. Some things I want to talk about. Why the fuck would a huge corporation like Anheuser-Busch, especially with their largest brand and I think the number one selling beer at the time in America is Bud Light, why would they? They're not even tiptoeing into the culture war. They like dived headfirst into it. And so,
it's not like Bud Light needed the boost.
Well, so the marketing head that came up with this idea, at least as far as we know, is the one that was famous for doing the Super Bowl commercial with the guy from Top Gun. I forget his name, and his wife, and they're listening to like the Hold song, and they're like dancing, and they're like, "You still don't hold?" They're like, "Great," and they have their Bud Lights, and they're dancing. And it was seeing like the best Super Bowl commercial 2023 and all of this, and she was kind of the golden child. And then she came with this idea, and I think they know they're doing well. They're just trying to look into trying to secure future not only sales but brand recognition. So I think they thought that all the conservatives were just stupid, trucker, like, man, we're man, and they wouldn't care who they marketed to. They're just gonna drink their Bud Lights, and they were so fucking wrong.
Oh yeah.
And so you've got massive protests, dude. Let me get this came out yesterday. Another week, Bud Light has experienced a sales decline while Miller and Coors are experiencing massive bumps. They have dropped 24% of market share from 1 year ago.
Jesus Christ.
And check this out, dude. They're saying right now that Bud Light is permanently going to lose 15% of their business, like, for good.
Jesus.
That's bananas.
And
that's
then
why, like,
wasn't that marketing person put on administrative leave?
They're put on administrative leave. They might be fired now, but a lot of people, there's a huge shakeup at. Well, and here's the thing too, Bud Light, they're suddenly in a situation where they can't say like, "Look, we fucked up. We're sorry," because then everybody on the left is like, "Oh, you bigots, blah, you gave in, blah," and then they're gonna start protesting, and that kind of already happened somewhat, because here's the weird thing about it: you and I are not, we're not necessarily business people. We don't, right. As far as I know, I've dabbled in the business side here and there. I could have told you that this is a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the funny thing about this. It's hilarious because I don't want to say it's hilarious. There has to be more to the story than we're getting. And some people have floated the fact that Bud Light or these corporations have somebody they have to answer to with their ESG scores. Are you familiar with this?
No.
The rating. So this is interesting. So let me pull this up and read it to you. Okay. So environmental, social, governance, these factors become, apparently more prominent, and companies have to answer with these ESG scores. and there's a scoring methodology in order, and these are actually their scores that are tied to the value of the company, which is really interesting.
Okay.
And so I don't know a ton about who answers to this, but I have to think that this was a move for the ESG score. And that's one of those things that scares me, because it kind of suggests like that there is a huge, corporate establishment, or really like someone you're answering to, whether it be BlackRock or one of these giant other corporations that seem to run things more than we'd like to admit. Because there's no other reason these companies would just nosedive into the culture war. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If you and I, like, we don't have business degrees, we know right off that this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me think that there is an actual push for this shit. And there is a social agenda, because while we say like they have opinions, no, I think there's someone saying that here's a score of how much you pushed X, Y, and Z agenda that they have. Now again, that's conspiratorial, but bottom line is that the people, the tobacco chewing racists and all those other people listen to country music and drink the Bud Lights were not actually idiots, and they protested, and they're not buying Bud Light anymore, and Bud Light's in some trouble. Funny story. Let's pivot to Target.
Oh God.
So,
Whew.
yeah, right. So, I don't care one way or another. I think it's funny, but I think Bud Light, if you're going, what's the idiom? Go woke, go broke.
Yeah.
It's funny. And if you want to jump into the culture war, sometimes you pay the culture war price. And if that's what they want to do, then fine. I personally don't drink Bud Light. I'm not necessarily concerned with protesting Anheuser-Busch or not. There's not a ton of Anheuser-Busch beers I like or drinks. However, if I had a choice between Miller, Anheuser-Busch, and Coors, I'd probably be grabbing something else besides Anheuser-Busch. So I guess there is that. So, pivoting to Target, which here's another company that's like, what is that, a landmine? What happens when you when you step on it?
Oh boy.
And so, well, let's find out. Oh boy. And so with Target, this is an interesting one. In for them to celebrate Pride Month, they've set up these kiosks, not kiosks, I guess, like little showcases of all their Pride merch. And Target's kind of been, they've had Pride stuff before, and people on the right shop there, people on the left shop there. They seem to be more progressive, but no one really cares because they don't want to go to Walmart. And so that's, people just go to Target.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. This one, dude, between you and I, is sketchy as fuck. And this is where, when I say, like, I support trans people, I support LGBTQ+, what I missed that one, I'm sorry, I'm a bigot. But this one's fucking weird. So they have, and this is going back to ESG scores, is the only reason I think they would do this.
Okay.
This whole weird ESG thing. That's my opinion. But they have, so okay. They're selling, let me start here. They're selling bathing suits that are quote unquote, they're like women's bathing suits, but they're tuck friendly bathing suits for trans women, and trans women being men that have transitioned into being women. Okay, that's fine, and that's all good, but that's kind of the specialty stuff that trans people would always have to deal with, and they buy their stuff, and that's what they tuck, and they go on, RuPaul and look like women. It's not a deal. So whatever. But it's interesting because who's actually the crowd, the audience for Target? This is my big question. Is it trans women? Because if it's trans women, there's not a ton of trans women out there enough to support it. Is it women? Because you're trying to sell tuck-friendly bathing suits to women. I'm sure that makes them feel sexy. Um, that's the bathing suit they want to buy. And so I asked myself, like, what's the actual market here?
Yeah.
That's besides the point. They were selling tuck-friendly children's bathing suits. Hit the brakes. Here's where it gets weird.
Oh yeah.
How does that work if you're not sexualizing children? Because that is exactly what they would be doing.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be honest, dude. I will not go to Target. I cannot support that business because that's fucked up. And I don't care if this company that made all this pro, the LGBT friendly, the Pride Month stuff, the creator there has made Satanist, designs before. Who gives a fuck about that? I don't care. In fact, I wouldn't. My issue is that there is a difference between, supporting adults, and their liberties and sexualizing children.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Target faced all the backlash, and this is interesting. And they said that they took down these certain products, and they took down a lot of these displays because their employees were facing threats or bomb threats or whatever. But really, I think they saw their stock price go down. And Target now has had, for the second time this week, as we currently stand, their stock has been downgraded twice. Damn. And interestingly enough, they have lost $15 billion in value.
Well, wasn't it Target? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it Target that sometime in the last decade released like push-up swimsuits for little girls?
It might have been, and I had the same problem with that.
Yeah, because I mean, you remember that, right? Like that was a huge thing years ago. That a major retailer, I think it was Target, for their summer wear, legit had like push-up bathing suit tops for like children.
Yeah, see, and that's problematic.
Yeah, like it's.
I just don't understand why. I mean, I kind of do, but if it's just, if there is an establishment that is, pushing for weird shit like this, it's odd, but I just don't quite get it. Like I it doesn't bother me. Like, for example, Miller ran an advertisement saying that they feel shameful. This is back in January, actually, about having all the bikini girls for their beer advertisements whenever else, when, like this. That doesn't bother me. My issues are when it comes to weird shit like Target. Like, bizarre, dude.
Yeah.
Like, who, I mean, you have to be so far away from reality to think this was a good idea.
No, yeah,
so
like it's today on Twitter. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up right now. I saw just the most ridiculous fucking thing. Oh, it's actually been removed.
Interesting.
Okay, let me see if the link still works. Okay, yeah, the link still works. So there's this Twitter account that I follow called Gays Against Groomers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically, their fight is to be like, look, it's not the entire LGBTQ community that's a bunch of, kitty fiddling weirdos. Where
Well,
they're basically trying to be an active voice against that, so that people don't think that it's inherent to the LGBTQ community.
right.
And so they posted, here's their tweet. It says, "This is a real shirt being sold online. We wish we were joking. The words kid and sexy should never be in the same sentence. Sweep the hard drives of the designer behind this and anyone who ever purchased one. Where is the asteroid that we were promised?" Now, I'm going to go ahead and send you this screenshot right now so that you can see just how fucking disgusting this is. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera so that our viewers at home can see it.
And that's the thing too. It's the whole same thing with like bringing kids to drag shows. Drag shows are inertly sexual. It's like I wouldn't bring, a kiddo to a burlesque show because that would be inappropriate.
Right.
And even there's people out there in the drag community who are like, don't bring your fucking kids to our shows. It's weird. And it's funny because these people that are they're such ideologues that they think they're being, I don't know how you say it, progressive, and they're like, we're gonna bring your kids to a drag show because we're allies.
Yeah, that's
Jesus Christ, dude! I just saw the shirt you sent.
Oh, okay, you saw it just now. That's fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah, not good.
Like, that's, and it's, you really have to ask, why are they so intent on having an audience of children?
Mm-hmm.
That's not kosher. That's not something that doesn't add up.
Right.
And then on top of that, we've been having like very prominent figures pushing these weird books to be kept in schools. I don't know if you've seen anything about that.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, and it's funny because again, a lot of left, they hide just behind it's censorship. You can't no, like you cannot. Literally, a middle school library does not just have, like, you're not gonna find Playboy in a fucking middle school library, just like you shouldn't find these books teaching kids, how to have, sexual relationships, teaching them how to use, hookup apps. And the explicit, that's not, being an ally. That's not quote unquote sex education. That's something else, dude.
Yeah, it's criminal is what it is.
It certainly crosses a line. And again, I don't care how many people say that they're allies. It's inappropriate.
100%. 100%. Like once you start involving children, it's like, because I mean, here's the thing. Even then, like legally, children cannot consent.
They cannot.
And developmentally, they cannot consent. They don't understand really the whole gamut of these situations that a lot of these, frankly, these predators are trying to put them in, these lifestyles that they're trying to draw them to. They, they're predators 100%.
Absolutely.
And all they are doing is hurting the LGBTQ community as a whole, because you'll have the majority of people who will think, oh, they're all like that.
Right.
They're all like that. And I mean, there's no way that it's not related to the rise in homophobic hate crimes in especially on my side of of the country. You know, but no, Gavin Newsom isn't talking about that. He's talking about, oh, we got to ban guns and shit, motherfucker. But anyways,
Well, because again, it's all just ideological.
it is.
No one's actually thinking about this.
It is. And on that note, punk rock icon Tucker Carlson has finally done his first episode of his new show on Twitter. So
interesting. When did that come out?
I'm looking at it. It's I'm like on a hardcore date when we recorded this. It says 7 hours ago.
Okay, so I would like to check that out. See what's up.
Yeah, see what he has to say.
You know what's interesting is that I always thought he was just so lame, and I just can't help but admit it. He's the only one that's anti-war now.
Yeah,
and like that, it is just, it's so punk. It is.
It really is, and that's how you know the world is fucked, when Tucker Carlson is punk as shit. Oh god.
Yeah, we're in some trouble.
When you can watch Ben Shapiro and like nod your head in agreement, be like, yeah, okay. When you can read fucking shit from Ann Coulter and be like, yeah, that's how you know the world's fucked.
Yeah, Ann Coulter's another one that like, what is happening?
Oh god, Ann Coulter. She really believes women shouldn't be allowed to vote. And I'm just like, wow, how about that?
Holy shit, dude. But yeah, that's certainly something. Anyway, the world's a wild place, my friend. We've got, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about, actually. And it's just video games. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
Don't look at the news. The world, all the news is all awful usually. But I think we do have some things to look forward to.
Oh no, 100%. Remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 with absolutely no input from Kojima. So
okay, so let me ask you about this. So go ahead. You can give your spill. We'll take these line item by line item.
Well, I was just saying, hold your breath on that one, because that can be hit or miss right there.
I think it's comparing a trailer for Metal Gear by Kojima and what they showed us for Metal Gear Solid Delta, which for anybody listening, it's going to be a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3.
The worst one.
You're absolutely wrong. It's in fact, it's the best one, but we'll talk about that later on. The trailer was awful, and remaking this without Kojima, I just think it's going to be bad. Will I buy it and play it? Absolutely.
Anything at all Metal Gear without Kojima is just a bad idea.
Yeah, they should let it die.
Like,
yeah.
What
I don't. Yeah.
All I want now is all of the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 5, but with co-op. That's all I want at this point. The story's over. I'm fine with. I've made peace with Big Boss's story being forever incomplete. That's fine. But the fucking achievement that is Metal Gear Solid 5's gameplay, we cannot let that be forgotten. We can't let that just go untouched.
It's one of the better games really ever made in terms of gameplay and engine.
Yeah.
It's funny because you could tell everything went into that. And they did literally everything went into that. So when Konami was like, yo, we're never going to make the money back, just stop it here. I think they fired Kojima and they just, kind of jury rigged the story from where they left off.
Maybe they shouldn't have spent all their
Oh, yeah.
fucking money on Kiefer Sutherland then.
Here's the thing though, and this is interesting. Apparently, Kojima's never been a fan of David Hayter,
Which is odd.
and I think David Hayter really is one of the main reasons that David Hayter is one of the main reasons that um, the the Solid Snake character is so memorable, and it's interesting because you could tell when voice acting got serious, and that was with Metal Gear Solid, in my opinion,
Yeah.
on the PlayStation.
That ninja was Gray Fox.
Metal Gear. Sorry.
Fuck, man. No, but like
Gray Fox. The ninja's Gray Fox.
oh
That's
man.
great.
But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, hopefully well, I mean, what would you want to see from a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3? Because I feel like the game was kind of the best it could be. I don't think there was really anything in the game that could have been expanded or improved upon.
I would say make the same exact game, just make it make it a new engine, make it play exactly the same, fine. Make it high def. They're keeping all of the voice acting, probably because it's cheaper just to use the original voice. But I wouldn't want them to change. You can't fix perfection. So yeah. I want it exactly the same, basically.
just looking a lot nicer.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. But what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything. It's I mean, I definitely want them to bring back like the Ape Escape minigame and the what was his name when he would like fall asleep and like fight monsters and shit?
Nightmare game. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah,
the game that it is a Konami game as well, I thought.
But yeah, you know, like I want them to bring back that stuff. But like yeah, like from a gameplay perspective, that game it knew exactly what it was, and it executed. There was really nothing lacking gameplay wise.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay. Marathon. Can I talk Marathon for a second?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, so on Sony's show, so this gets the background. Sony now owns Bungie. However, the deal was done in the right way, in my opinion. That still lets Bungie release them whatever the fuck they want. Sony just owns them.
Yeah.
Not like, which we haven't talked about, Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft, and how UK said it was antitrust, which everybody knows it is, but there's just too much money involved.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a funny one. But anyway, I was the kid. My parents were teachers. Therefore, we had discounts on apples, and apples were used in schools. So I was the kid that grew up with apples. Because of that, I never got Wolfenstein and I never got Doom. All my friends that had PCs were playing that. But I did get a game, and that was Marathon. And Marathon was awesome. So, yeah, Marathon is an interesting game because it technically is the first game with mouse look. But
Hmm.
it was a sci-fi shooter that had a really, really um, cerebral story about rampant AIs and aliens, and it's crazy. Anyway, they made two sequels, Marathon 2 Durandal and Marathon Infinity, which is the third one. And Marathon technically is the prequel to Halo. So just to kind of give some background. Um, like the Marathon symbol be seen on commander keys is also the AI that you look at, not the AI, but the little flying ball guy in the original Halo is the Marathon logo. And Cortana uh, is in the lore is an AI that goes rampant in Halo. So there's a lot of background there. So on the Sony show, we know that a lot of companies have been trying to make a AAA. Um, oh, they came up with the name of it. Not. It's like a squad loot shooter. I think they call it.
Hmm.
Um, I can't. But anyway, it's basically the Escape from Tarkov rules, and no one's really been able to do it on a console. DMZ with Call of Duty has come close, or extraction shooters, things are called. Hunt Showdown a little bit as well. But nothing has really gone to that market, and everybody realizes that's where the market is right now. So they're trying to make their games. Marathon is going to be a callback to the old games, but Bungie's gone all the way back. It looks very stylistic, but it's going to be three-person teams, kind of like the original Destiny, or I guess in the current Destiny. I don't play it anymore, so I can't speak to it. But three-player teams, and you have to go in and loot stuff, and either extract or fight your way out or do whatever. And it's going to be a AAA experience in the world of Marathon. So I don't know when that's coming out, but we don't have a AAA experience that gives us an extraction shooter, as well as being in the world of Marathon, has me pretty excited, to be honest.
Fuck yeah.
So
I'll have to look more into it because, like, yeah, I have absolutely zero knowledge of Marathon other than what you just told me.
okay, I'll send you some videos to kind of give you a primer, but
Mm-hmm.
it should be cool. But anyway, um, more on that as we get the info. So, do you what other highlights are you looking at right now?
Well, as I'm sure everyone listening can tell, Kanon and I are big, really big patriots, and we've just received word that the Super Earth needs our services once again. I tell you, I was not expecting Helldivers 2. I was not expecting third person over the shoulder.
Yeah, it's gonna be rad.
That is, oh my god.
I'm gonna do my part, bro. Do my
Oh,
part
yeah,
for
because
democracy.
we played the hell out of Helldivers 1.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Oh,
And I
my.
love the tongue in cheek, all those Star Troopers references.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Oh,
Um,
man.
they're smart too because the first game everybody had on PlayStation Plus. This one, if it's for sale, I buy it day one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Day one, it looks great.
My only tiny gripe is that you can't do couch co-op with third person over the shoulder.
No, but I think they probably have data to show that most people are playing over network as well.
Yeah.
And then you I don't know if you saw it, dude. Have you watched a recent trailer for Alien Dark Descent?
No, I haven't.
This might be our Aliens game, dude.
Really, more so
It
than Fireteam?
Fireteam's great. This next one, you'll have to watch the most recent video.
Well,
It sounds
is it multiplayer though?
no, not our game. I'm saying like as a narrative experience.
Okay.
This might because it's one of those things where there's a whole colony. Um, you kind of get in and do missions and get out, and it sounds crazy. Um, I don't know the details, but I'll send you. I'll send you the most recent video. Let me pull it up.
For sure, for sure.
But yeah,
All right, so lots of things to be excited about too. Mortal Kombat. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Gameplay's coming soon. So
with they're just calling it Mortal Kombat 1, right?
yes.
Is that what they call it? Yeah. So with that and Street Fighter 6, what's gonna be the better game?
Uh it depends on how you define what makes a good fighting game. If we're talking about the actual fighting itself, if we're talking mechanically, the really like the nuance and the depth to the actual fighting system, Street Fighter 6 hands down. Capcom is really a master of the craft because they've been pumping these games out for so long at such a high level ever since Street Fighter 2.
Mhm.
Um Gameplay for Mortal Kombat, that remains to be seen, because they did great Mortal Kombat's 1 through 3, and then in my opinion they kind of shat the bed for all the way through, like excuse me, Armageddon.
Mhm.
Oh god. Fucking Ed Boon's probably like feeling me say this shit and he's force choking me from far away or some shit. They kind of shut the bed all the way up to then. I mean, even MK versus DC was kind of weird. Mortal Kombat 9 was fantastic. Mortal Kombat X was even better. And then they just decided to turn around and sprint backwards for Mortal Kombat 11.
Interesting.
Like it's fun to play. It still plays great, but where uh Mortal Kombat X gave you the freedom to kind of combine your moves together to make interesting combos, 11 really settles into a rhythm of you do your string, you interrupt it early for a special move, meter burn to pop up, and then you do another string, end with another special move. And every character is kind of pigeonholed into that.
Okay, so I have a question, and this is somewhat related.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to Street Fighter because I know we talked about that a little bit as well. What's the best Street Fighter,
Oh.
and why is it 3?
Oh, it's not 3. The roster alone, it's not 3.
I'm not a huge fighting game guy. I just like Third Strike a lot.
Damn. No, Third Strike is great. Third Strike is really fun. Dang, I don't know. I don't know which one the best one is. Okay. I might be called a blasphemer for this, but I really enjoyed Turbo HD Remix. I think
Okay.
that one streamlined to where it needed to be streamlined. The animation is beautiful. The redone audio is amazing. Akuma.
Well, the animation kind of led the way to what we see with what we see in Third Strike a little bit.
Yeah. No, yeah, like they've always been great at animating their their shit. Even like they were so good that they kept reusing assets for later games. Like I think Morgan had at one point they were still using her sprites that were like almost 10 years old as they were going on and making like the 2D games. And that's what I miss. I miss, 2D hand animated fighting games, which is why I really love Skullgirls and them's fighting herds. But yeah, I mean Turbo HD Remix definitely was awesome. Uh I do also love Street Fighter 4.
Except it looks like shit.
Nah.
No, it's too like stylized. I'm
Nah,
glad that
that's why it
came
looks
back.
great.
I disagree. That should, but this is just opinion about aesthetics. That's it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's but yeah, like 4 was fun. But it's a little too restrictive. You have a lot of like one frame links in that game that you have to
Right.
make worth, and that's fucking ridiculous. Uh, well, I can tell you one thing.
Hmm.
It's not 5. It's
Yeah,
not Street
no, I hear
Fighter
you.
5.
So you're stoked for 6?
Oh yeah, I've been playing it and it's fucking great.
Okay.
They took a mechanic from 4 and simplified the hell out of it so it's easier to use.
Hmm.
And now you can, since it's easier to use, you can actually use it the way it was meant to be used to extend combos and just do like weird shit like that.
Sure.
So yeah,
Cool.
it's awesome.
So,
All
well,
right.
we have to have our culture episode here again soon, and get into it. But anyway,
All right, so that is it for today. Thank you all for listening. This was the Electric Luchador Podcast. I am El Oscuro here with Kanon.
thank you.
Pretty heavy subject matter today, but that's the world we live in, for better or for worse, until until that asteroid hits.
The one that was promised.
You all have a good night.
Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you.